video, I shall be showing you how to paint Blakeney. This was taken from a live Zoom recording for the Norwich and Norfolk Arts Circle, and I was working from photograph. I'd been to Blakeney the week before, and this is the picture that I painted. It's not a very good reproduction because the printer ran out of ink, of course, but this is the photograph I took. Again, the colours aren't true because, you know, what printers are, but anyway, these are what I worked from. And so I worked, and this is the finished painting, which I shall be showing you step by step. So here's the finished painting, and I'll show you my palette that I used. This is the palette I used. It is a bit of a mess now. So these are the colours that I used. I had warm white, which is a very nice colour, Michael Harding warm white. I used that. Some of these colours I didn't use. Alizarin crimson very much came into play. I used a little bit of brilliant pink. This one I love. It's King's Blue Light, ultramarine. There's a little bit of cobalt there. I didn't use any of these greens. I did use a little bit of this. It's blue black, which I rather like. And here we've got raw umber, a favourite colour. And again, over here, another colour which is very nice and handy for neutrals is a buff titanium. So on with the demonstration. A tricky thing to draw, because it's all angles and windows and how much do you put in and all of this. So it's got that black tar at the bottom of it. Right, let's just go up there, get my perspective right. Helps. Yes, it's all windows and roofs, and it's a case of what do you put in and what do you not put in. It's quite an intricate building, but I don't want to draw too much attention to it. It's all these windows here, so I'm trying to play it down. And then those windows down here. Right, okay, so then we've got that little platform that everyone stands on. And this is the bit that I loved. So we've got the jetty there. Then we've got the dark, right. I love the light coming through underneath this. And the light came through that as well. There we go. I try and avoid doing too much drawing, because if you do too much drawing, it makes it, you end up colouring it in, and it's a bit complicated. Like that comes off there, that goes behind, because the jetty sweeps around there. Comes out behind that and drops down there. Okay, so that's kind of sorted that out. There was actually one that we were there was a big raft with these horrible little canoe things on it. And I say I was with a group of rather good painters at the time. That's the trouble when you go out painting with people that are brilliant. You stand there and you think you're doing all right until you look at theirs.
There's shadows in there. I don't want too much shadow in there. Yeah, most people decided to leave those horrible boats out. So it's quite tricky when they're there. You think, oh, yeah, but they're there. There was a bigger boat at the back here. Let's get that in. I always remember painting many years ago. I used to go painting, and I was painting with John Yardley once, and I was painting in watercolors at the time. And I remember he was doing a demonstration, and he said, and I still remember, I can still hear him say it, when I see a jumble, I paint a jumble. And you think, yep, that actually makes sense. So I always think of John when I see a jumble, and this is a jumble, I tell you, that I'm painting here. But you do have to try and pull something definable out of it. So let's see if we can make this look resembling a boat slightly. Okay. I think I need to go to a slightly bigger brush soon. Let me just get that dark in there. Dark in there. Now there were, oh dear, here we go. There were some figures on here crabbing, of course. Dad was in charge, and you could hear the little boy go, "Can I have a go, Dad?" "No, just a minute." so funny. Right, oh. Okay. It's not a very good photograph, I have to say, so I'm not quite sure what I'm doing here. Let's get the figure in. Looks like you've got rabbit ears, honestly. I often put the figures in last, but when you've been working on a picture like this, sometimes it's easier to put them in first, because if you've got a lot of paint down, it gets a bit slippery. This might still not work, but anyway, we'll see how that goes. We'll put the bucket on there, and so we need a few figures. Oops, no, they're further back. You can go there. So. All neutral colours at the moment. I'm not trying to put any colour in at this point. This brush hasn't got very good point. It's gone a bit flared. He might be a bit big really, but hey ho, never mind. So let's just get this back area in. It's quite dark along there. There was a couple of boats along that back bit. Be careful not to get this bit too high, because you've got to follow through with what's going on back here. And there was the wall. Tree. I'm beginning to regret lighting the wood burner in here. It's getting a bit warm. A few trees at the back, just putting those in. end of a building there. So look what I've done to myself. This is all water, for goodness sakes. Let's get a slightly bigger brush. I need to just now put in the dark areas. This is going to be dark here. Don't know if that's quite dark enough. Well, with the heat of my studio, this at least should dry a little bit. No, I've got to think about this. I think I'm going to, yeah. So I'm thinking out loud here. Don't know what I'm doing. There we go. Let's get some dark in down here. Very thin, because I should be painting over it, but I don't want the foreground to be light. I want it to be slightly darker. I shall paint over this and it will be lighter, but it will hopefully build up to a darker colour, a lighter colour, sorry. We've got this tree will reflect over here. Bit of light, that's the spit of sand as the tide goes out. We've got the reflection from these. It would be perhaps a bit more dark in there. What is, yeah. There's a little bit more to this. I've lost my little brush, it fell on the floor. Let me get it back. There we go. Now it's a bit of a jumble down here, and I shall do a John Yardley. I shall paint a jumble. Let's take those above the tree line, just so that it breaks through the horizon. Yeah. So we've got to reflect all these bits down here. Just remember that it's there. And the boats, I've got quite a strong reflection or shadow from the boats there. Okay, what's behind this building here? We've got a roof. There we go. The tree behind that. There will be figures along there as well. So I'm now, what I'm doing, I'm looking for the dark areas. It's quite dark under the eaves there, and that's quite dark. Dark window. So I'm just trying to pick out all the areas that are particularly dark. That's darker there. That's it. There's all the way along there's posts, which is really obliterating what's going on behind here, but to put all of those in, that might be a bit much, and there's a big mast on this ship. Now one could put it in now and cut in around it. So it's obviously too fat, but when I do the sky, I can cut in and make it the thin mast that I want it to be. Right, don't like that brush, you can go. Too floppy, that's what else have we got? Oops, I didn't wash these properly when I came back. That's very naughty of me from my painting trip. I think it will be all right. These are rosemary brushes. This is the Eclipse long flat brush, size 5. Let's see if I can rejuvenate it. Yeah, it's got white paint coming out of it, honestly. You'd think I'd know better, wouldn't you? Where's my kitchen roll? Oh, it's over there. Yeah. Right, okay. I still keep looking at this thinking, what am I going to do with it? Let's start off with a bit of sky. So, it was a pretty boring sky. Well, it started off very just flat grey, then it went all fluffy, then it went all blue. So I'm just trying to decide which of those to do, because the photograph doesn't register anything. When you've got a busy painting like this, it's probably sometimes better to have a plainer sky, because if you've got a busy sky, the whole thing can get a bit too much. So I'll perhaps go a little bit plainer with this. Trying to choose my brush. Right, so that's got brown in it. There we go. So I'm going to use my warm white, and I'm using the brain's gone, King's Blue. Now that on its own is quite a pretty colour. It's not bad. Oh, I've used a bit too much medium, it's a bit runny. Stop it, Mo. So that's warm white, which I've just used it all up. I'll have to squeeze some more out. Yeah, it's not too bad, is it? This is where you need to use your bigger brushes. There's no point painting a sky with a small brush because it takes too long. In fact, sometimes, you know, it takes as long to do a big painting with a big brush as it does to do a small painting with a little brush. So you're just using a broader brush. You know what I'm saying, don't you? Sometimes, you know, you've got a little tiny brush and you're fiddling away with it. If you've got a big brush, you get it done. But it's the same with big canvas. If you use a big brush, it probably takes about the same time to do a large painting as it does to do a small painting. So I've just got the plain colour. Can you see what I mean about trimming up the mast? You can make it as thin as you like by doing that, as long as you take the colour to both sides. There's no point having blue on that side and then mixing another colour that side. So that's just King's Blue with the warm white. I'm now adding a bit more white as I'm coming down, just to lighten it. Could even suggest a few clouds with that, but it's called Brilliant Pink. It's a very strong colour. It's gorgeous, actually. Great for flower painting. But they're very strong in pigment, so you only need to touch the colour and you've picked up too much. Actually, I quite like that pink with that green. I'm going to leave that. Happy accidents. So I'm still trimming down that mast, which was obviously far too thick when I put it in. Now I'm painting down into these trees. If I'd already painted the trees, I could have just done the shape of them and just break them up so they don't look like lollipops. There we go, just trimming that mast down again. It's gone a bit wobbly, but hey ho. I mean, I can go back and put some clouds into that if I feel the need. Right, I'm going to use this colour now that I've got in the sky. I'm going to use that in the water. Might not be a good move, I don't know, but we'll see. because it's reflecting the sky. I'm leaving the reflections. I shall just need to now darken those areas where I've got those reflections. All I did with the colour that I've got, I just mixed in some of the brown mix from earlier. Now I've got a dirty brush. Can't see what I'm doing down here, unfortunately. Oh, that's a bit pink. I just added some of the lemon yellow to it. Oh, that's better. It's gone a bit dirty now, but this probably needs to be a lot lighter for making an impact. But I can lighten it later, I think. So basically I'm working from dark to light. That's the tree reflecting. There's a reflection there as well, just make it interesting. I feel that probably we need to have this water a bit darker to start with, and then I can add highlights to it. It's probably a bit light at the moment. Add a little bit more raw umber, I think it was, and ultra. Let's try that. That's a bit on the purple side. No, I want that lighter. As it's a bit purple, I'm adding a bit more yellow into it. That's better. Right. Now, a bit lighter down here. Now that wants to be more of a hard line there, because that is the straight edge of the jetty, but then we get it into the reflection, so it's broken. Get the light in between the boats too. I did some ultra to that, but it was too much. Let's just get those. This is why one works from dark to light, because putting this dark over the top of the light, it picks it up an awful lot. So probably what I should have done is just cleaned it off with a bit of tissue. You see how it's just picking up the lighter colour underneath. Never mind. Right, okay, so got the sky reflected. I shall come back to that. I painted over quite a lot of the jetty when I was doing the water, but again, it's picking up the white, but right, to get some of these boats in, I think. Problem is with this one being dark, I'm going to lose it. Let's make it into a lighter colour. Just going to keep it fairly neutral. Will need to be lightened probably. The windows will be reflecting light. This is where if you've got figures you can shape them by cutting in around them. Again, trying to keep it as simple as possible, not going into too much architectural detail. Reflecting the lights from over here, these windows. There are windows down below as well, but they don't seem to reflect the light in the same way. There's quite a lot of them. I'll just put just a suggestion. These will need, yeah, a bit of detail on them, just blocks of white at the moment. Trying to avoid, as I say, too many straight lines and bits of detail, but some bits you have to put in. Very difficult not to fiddle. Now we've got, I forget to move, my legs lock. Let's do roof. I don't want to start putting pan tiles and bright reds in. I want to keep the colours sort of kind of a harmony while I'm painting this. That's quite a nice colour I've got there. I don't know how I did it, but it's a nice colour. That will do very nicely. I've got another one over here. That one, I'm thinking now this is registering lighter than the trees behind, so I'm just thinking about that as I'm going along. And the flint, keep that again quite neutral. Getting the gable end of that one. Oh, sorry, Dad, painted over your head. This is sort of a purpley colour I've got here. I'm just wondering if to, yeah, I'll just darken that as well, I think. So it doesn't stand out too much. And in there, I want that fairly dark. I want these figures here to, they were against the light. They've got a nice sort of glow over them. Dark in there. So yeah, I'm just not going into detail of these buildings. I'm trying to keep it sort of suggestive. Just a few touches here and there of suggesting what might be there. And then there was a wall that goes all the way along here. Let's break that up a bit. How high was it? Came from about there, I think. Yeah, let's have the wall there. We'll probably put a few figures in front of that again, just to break it up. And the bottom of that building had the dark red. But we don't want, again, I don't want to go into too much detail this there. Let's have that just a bit darker against the edge of this. Okay. Right, I'm going to think now about these trees. I won't go green with it. Well, it is a sort of a green. I've got, oh, now I have to show you. Now if I can find it. Excuse me. This colour here, I love it. It's an Old Holland. It's called Golden Green. And I've actually just mixed that with a bit of blue black. Oh, and it gives the most gorgeous colour. You're writing that down now, aren't you? Because if not, you should be. It mixes, oh, it looks fabulous with all sorts of colours. Mix it with white and it goes a lovely light. Oh, it's just so versatile. So I very rarely use tube greens. I've always mixed them. But since I discovered that, every now and then it sneaks onto my palette and it's lovely. I've just mixed some with a bit of a, I want to get a contrast here. Mix some with some cobalt blue. It's probably a bit dark actually for there, but I just wanted to get a bit of contrast in that area there. We can get a bit more in just to define the edge of that building. So we can pick out, I don't want that too dark. I'm going to try perhaps a bit of white in that. It might not work because I don't want the all the greens all to be the same colour. So I've now mixed some white and I'm mixing a little bit of King Blue with it just to, let's see if it's maybe a bit light. I want it to be distant, you see. I don't want it to be as strong as this one here. So let's just try out. There we go. I've mixed a bit more cobalt with that. Don't forget your mast, Mo. So as I say, that's got quite a bit of blue in it. I didn't want it to be jumping forward. Yeah, hopefully that'll do it. You can always use the end of your brush if you like, just to soften, because you don't want hard edges right on the edge over there. So just using the end of your brush just softens those edges. Now I think there was some, yes, bit of green in front of the wall. Get that in. Using similar colour. Oh, that's quite green. I didn't mean it to be that green. Never mind. I'll use some of it up there as well. I've tried to break up that line. I didn't want a straight line, so I've just broken that up a little bit. A few bits of green in there. Again, I don't want too hard an edge there because your eye gets drawn to it. There we go. I'm not sure if I've got that right. I think I need to probably lighten this edge a bit, take it up a bit. Right, let's have a look. I'm kind of getting there, really. Perhaps I ought to do something with these here figures. I'm rummaging through my brushes. I cannot find the one I want. That's annoying. Let's go back to this one that's splayed out. No, I can't use that. That's ridiculous. I did buy a new one. Where have I put it? If you could see my studio, ladies and gentlemen, you'd know why I can't find anything. Let's have a look over here. Sorry, I'm just disappearing. Right, I've got a new one. It's not the one I wanted. This is a rosemary, and it's a Eclipse long flat and number 0. But anyway, let me have a think what these figures are wearing. So they're kind of dark, but they've got the light on their shoulders, and this probably isn't quite light enough to get the feel of the sun. So let me just think about this. I never know what colours to put people in. Always end up with blue. What am I doing? I've just dipped into the blue. So let's have a look. Let's get this. Let's get Dad in. Goodness knows what he's wearing. It's far too big as well. Let's sort that out. This is where one should plan ahead and put out the colours that you know you're going to need, like yellow ochre. Anyway, let's see if I can manage without it. Yeah, don't want to do too much detail with the figures, because if you do, then if it goes wrong, it goes very wrong. So if it's suggested, now then, which way were you looking at? It's over there. You can see I haven't put too much detail in there. I don't want to be able to try and define them too much. Yeah, I don't want to do too much detail, but you do need all that sort of, you need a bit more interest back there. And I haven't deliberately put anybody in any strong colours. Sometimes a pop of red is quite useful. I might do that. In the end, you can just do a little dot and a stick, and then that's enough to suggest that there's people there. There was a few boats along here too. I perhaps ought to get those in. Not many boats, but there were a couple. So let's just, and that will help to break up this area here. So hope there's not too many sailors watching this. Put a bit of a cabin on it. So it just helps to break up that line that was there. Now I need to start putting some of the light colour on these boats here. It's funny, isn't it, when you get a small brush in your hand, you start putting all the little fiddly bits in. Need some darks in there just to help throw those lights out. Okay, that's better. And we need to get these posts in now, I think. That's something to watch out for with reflections. Oh, that's underneath that, but that has, oh, well, it wouldn't be there. It's down here, so that's okay. But just check your reflections. If that mast is there, then the reflection, if there was to be one, would be directly under it. So it would be sort of here. And these reflections. So they're just directly underneath the object. That's it. They don't jump out at you so much now. Right, now I need to get some light, more light into this here. So having that darker colour on is quite useful because you can, it will show up the lighter colour as I do it. Ah, just get some going across there, just to break that up a little bit more. So it started off quite dark, that reflection, and we've still got the reflection, but it's lost a bit now. Try not to use pure white, it wouldn't work. So, even the warm white is too white on its own. Let's get this, I want to get more light coming in underneath this to make that stand out a little bit more. Because this is the, as far as I'm concerned, that's what attracted me to it, was the light underneath this. So I'm trying to get that a bit lighter. Again, it's picking up where I've got the other colour underneath. But, light in between those boats. You can see the use of making it dark to start with. Keeping the brush quite loose here. Might be a bit on the white side still, but never mind. That's not too bad. That's a bit yellow. I'm just reflecting the sky off that bit of mud a bit more. Perhaps a little bit more on here without making it look like snow again. Again, I don't want hard edges. If you've got a hard edge, your eye is drawn to it, so I just keep that a bit looser. Right, so I'm using this brush on its side, and there's posts all the way along here. How high are they? They come up there. Again, sometimes it's less is more. There are a lot of them. I probably won't put them all in, and I've sort of broken up the distance between them so they don't look like little soldiers. They go along there, yeah. There's a few people right on the edge as well. Perhaps I ought to put a few more folk in. And so there's posts all the way along here. Now it's do you or don't you really. I mean, they are there, and they're sort of hiding whatever's behind it. Let's just put a few in. You've got to work out how high they are. They lean back a bit. Right, of course there's loads of signs up here for the seal trips. Do you or don't you put those in? Is the other question. There's a few more posts for this jetty. I better put those in, otherwise it's going to fall down. I could do, I think. We'd better put one in. Oh, I suppose we better put the other one in. That one's bright yellow. It's behind this one. Yeah, it's picking up the colour underneath to use a light touch. And it's on a white stick. do with a slightly thinner brush there, Mo. Never mind, it's there. It's there. Hope you can all read that. Now there's quite a few masts sticking up over here. Probably need to get those in. I'm going to now resort to trusty palette knife. Make sure it's clean. Just using it on its side. I've picked up some paint and sometimes I get too much. Yep, there's a nice big blob there. Off. Broken line can be quite useful. There was a few around the corner too. Don't forget, less is more. Think, oh, that looks good, I'll put some more in. I might be able to just square that up a bit. No, never mind. So I couldn't resist that, it wasn't light enough. Just adding a few touches of light through here. Let's just lighten that up and I'll just pick out those folk. And of course, what I haven't done, I've just thought about it. A bit of a shadow for these folk, otherwise they'll be floating. Of course, as it's Blakeney, we've got the railings, haven't we? So we need to get those in. Again, it's a case of less is more, because there are quite a lot of them. Perspective. Think about them going back. It's getting smaller. Ah, too wide. No. Oh, dearie me, honestly, what am I like? Way to get round that. Make them thin again. So it's always handy when the tutor goes wrong, isn't it? Yeah, well, that's broken those up anyway. And it's more or less a case of going round and doing a little bit of correcting. I don't want to do too much. I'm going to try a little bit of a spot of colour now. Not too much. Let's just add a little bit over here. Oh, no, it didn't even stick. A little pop of orange over there, just to pick up on. So that didn't really come out as light as I wanted it to there. Just wanted the highlights on her shoulders. Oh, he's got to have a bucket, hasn't he? Now then, what colour bucket would the little boy have? Well, he wouldn't, but he's going to have a pink one. You see how I'm trying to rest my little finger nail on the board to keep my hand steady. Yeah. Let's see if I can get rid of that bobble. No, big lump of paint there, never mind. And of course this mast that I've got up here registers dark against the sky, but that's actually registering. It's a bit blank there. I don't want to do too much to that. Where's my rigger? Flat. There's lots of stones there, so let's just get a few. That's too wet. With a slightly dry brush and I can flick a few stones and marks into this bit of mud down here. Just breaks it up a little bit, really. Again, don't want it standing out too much. Let me take it down a bit. I've tried to get it lighter against there, and maybe it should be darker there. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, probably a couple. There's quite a stripe there. Maybe just a few figures in there, but it doesn't need an awful lot. Just a few marks, and you can sort of kind of read it as figures. Well, I hope you do. It's a bit blue, that one. Never mind. Oh, talking blue, I'm sure some of these boats have got a stripe on them. You know what I mean? It'll help break. There we go. So that's cobalt on that side and ultra for darker on that side. So that side's darker than that. It's a lot fatter on that side now. Just take it up a bit. Let's pretend one's got a red line on it. Got no red. There we go. No, I'm fiddling too much now. I'm going to have to stop, but I've put that blue over there. I want to put some of that colour over here, because can you see it helps pull it together rather than having a slightly different colour over there than I've got over here. Just pulling the two colours together. And perhaps a little bit more up there. So you've got the same colour going through the picture. It just helps to, that's one of the beauties of having the background colour, because in places it's popping through, and it helps give us a kind of a unity to the whole thing, because you just think it ties it together. So keeping a limited palette is quite a useful thing. There we go. I think that's better, using that blue down there. It ties in more with this, which is still looking a little bit, to me, a little bit purple, but I'm not going to fiddle with that now, I don't think. Just maybe a bit more blue over here. Can you see how I'm trying to sort of pull it together by tying all the colours together? Let's put a bit of blue on. Yeah, you can have a blue whatever you're wearing, which means you'll probably have a highlight. There we go. And maybe a highlight on your head, madam. Okay, so I now need to push that up. Push that up. So it's just a fine line. Just the windows in that boat. As I say, it's knowing when to stop, isn't it? It's the thing. But it's just the little touches, the little bits and pieces that just finish it off. Right, I think for now I'm going to stop there.